You notice how Rochdale politics has become national politics, and that now national politics is being run like Rochdale politics. You know, the Islamic Republic of Rochdale has some reach, doesn't it? It doesn't half have some power, and it's got some bodies that it can drag out. I don't mean to talk about this. I'll make another couple of videos on this subject before the by-election. But I heard yesterday from a very good source that there's 24,000 registered postal voters for this election in Rochdale. Now, in the last general election, 24,000 would have been just what you needed to win the seat. That's what that dead man walking, the beloved, name slips my mind now, but that's because of how effective he was. He spent the entire time on the sick with people wishing him well, and then we had all the tributes pouring in from members of the local Labour Party, and those tributes, you know, got as far as The Guardian. I was reading tributes to, what was he called? What is it? It's killing me that I can't remember his bloody name. That's how, I say that's how effective he was. I'll just type dead Rochdale MP into Google. Tony Lloyd, Sir Tony Lloyd. He'd been on the sick since the start of the COVID pandemic. On the sick. And then, about 2 days before he croaked, announced that he had leukemia. Because leukemia really creeps up on you, doesn't it? It'd be a matter of, they can quite easily detect leukemia in your blood, you know. I've become something of now I won't say expert, but I understand the process now of how medicine works these days. If you had leukemia, they could get it from a blood test. If he'd been hospitalised with COVID and COVID related, they'd have been taking bloods off him every couple of days. So fast onset leukemia, the way he's talking about it, not real. Guy was a liar until the day he died. So now we have this sort of by-election. Now Tony Lloyd won that last general election with 24,500 votes or something. And he got as many votes at that as everybody else combined. And this by-election, there's 24,000 postal votes. Now, to understand a Rochdale election is every Rochdale election is just like how Biden won in the last American presidential election. That's why to this day, you'll never be able to convince me that that wasn't a rigged election. Why? Because it looked exactly like a Rochdale election. The opposition feels they've got a chance because they're winning when the count's done. They're winning. And then the postal votes come in and they're all for Labour. All. Every last one of them. Not a single person who with a postal vote will have voted for anyone else. That's how it works. So there's loads of people around here who've been, over the years, attempting to do what others have tried before them to penetrate and get elected as a councillor in Rochdale. Some of them have got real close thinking, hey, I've won, I can't fail here, and then a box turn up with 2,000 votes in it. Suddenly you've lost. And we get epic low turnouts, but all the postal votes, epic low turnouts, but all the postal votes go in and get counted. All of them. Every single postal voter seems to vote. But we have historically low turnouts. We have turnouts like 30%, but we have one community who all vote. All vote. Regardless of if they know they vote or not. If it's like round here, I'm telling you, round here, if people know that you're not in any way engaged in politics, they'll register you to vote. And in the next local election, even though you have never went anywhere near a polling station, you voted. Votes get stolen. Votes get stolen. And say the old way of doing it used to be multiple voting, where you go to a different polling station to vote, and all you needed was someone's name who lived in that neighbourhood to say you're them, because they never asked for any ID. You just say you're them and just keep adding votes on. So it's like, if you're serious about this, you can vote in every poll. You could. They've changed the rules slightly. You could, because you need ID. When you only need an ID now, you didn't need ID before. You could just go and vote in every polling station in Rochdale, and all you needed was a list of people you know wouldn't vote and what ward they lived in. You don't even need a postcode. You just know. If a lot of people go on social media and say, I'm not voting for anyone, somebody clocks that, writes the name down. Doesn't take much to find out where someone lives. When you're in cahoots with the council, everyone pays council tax. You think that information that they have remains secret? Absolutely not. All the time. We hear of it round here, where coppers will get in trouble for sharing information with the police. Information with criminals. I think people at the council do it too. It's like there's been a hustings recently, and the hustings was, it's weird because the hustings was at Waterworth Community Centre, too small, right? Why was it at Waterworth Community Centre? Well, because the Labour Party aren't running, they're not organising any events because the council is the Labour campaign. The council pays for the Labour campaign. The council would be providing all of this. They'd be arranging all of this normally. They'd do it, but because they haven't got a candidate in it, they're not doing. Well, we had a hustings and only the main parties were invited. The Labour candidate didn't turn up because he can't handle anything. George Galloway turned up, and then, God, the Lib Dem guy, he made an absolute fool of himself. There was a question went to him about something that I campaigned on for years. TBA, the asbestos factory. I made like videos and show pictures and talked about it loads of times on this channel. The toxic, deadly toxic waste dump that's not a mile away from my house. A question came up, asked of the Lib Dem, what's going to be done about it? And he promised to see that it gets cleaned up, that he'd go out of his way. He didn't know that it's already been sorted out. He didn't know that my campaign, right, actually worked. My campaign to clean up Turner Brothers, what I wanted to do, happened. And why did it happen? Because I talked to Simon Dankzuk on the doorstep and told him what needed to happen. Gave him my approach and plan to sort it out, and he obviously ran with it because it was a good idea. And it got fixed. It got sorted out. What it was technology wasn't yet available to turn that place into a money spinner for scrap metal, building materials, bricks, scrap. As soon as technology comes along that makes it so there'll be those in the world who'd see that derelict old building as like a bank, like, oh my God, there's tens of millions of pounds worth of scrap metal in that place. Tens of millions. When someone worked that out, it gets sorted out because someone can make money cleaning it up. A lot of money cleaning it up. And I explained that to Dankzuk. And then that become the way he saw it. And then it's like we're going to the wrong people to try to get this sorted out. And then they found the right people. They found brownfield clean-up companies with, as I say, new technology to wash off and collect the asbestos. And then suddenly there's trucks coming out of that place full of old machines that had been abandoned, like lathes and the like, made of cast iron, like weighing tons, on the back of trucks on their way to being weighed in, scrapped. And there'd be thousands of pounds on the back of one of them trucks, thousands, in scrap metal. Scrap metal's the best business in the world to be in. Remember that bloody Zuby twat on that Twitter? Rich kid, Bitcoin grifter. Oh, I just got some money off my parents and bought a load of Bitcoin. I'm clever and you're dumb. Hates poor people, despises them. And he made this thing saying, it's like, it's like The first million's actually not that hard to make. It's not really a lot of money. Mouthing off. And I'm like, you're a Bitcoin grifter. It's like, you give me £1 million, I'd turn it into 20 million. Like, you haven't done nothing. You're just a rich kid who's bought a load of Bitcoin. So now suddenly you're intelligent. And then he basically called me a jealous person, you know, as they do. You're just jealous. You're just jealous because you fail it. Like, you'd never done anything. You hadn't even lived. So he's like, I said, you're useless. It's like, you give me £1 million and I'll make 20 million out of it. And he's like, oh, how would you go about doing that? I'm like, scrap metal. You just start up. Scrap metal. Make a fortune. An absolute fortune. You just got to be willing to go and get it. Shift it. Do a deal with the person who owns it as to say, if I shift it, can I have it? And most of the time, you can. So it's like, you got £1 million, you get into scrap metal, you'll make a lot more money than, you know, these guys who you see with the truck collecting all the scrap metal. It's like, they would say they were tinkers. You know, like gypsy types. It's like, nah, them guys are driving around in Range Rovers. They're rich. Scrap metal. Oh, I'd love to get into scrap metal. There was a old mate of mine. He says he's an old boy now, but it was like, he put it to me years ago as to the best business in the world is have a scrapyard. It's like, they never give anyone planning permission to build a new one, so you have to inherit one or you have to buy one off someone else, and no one's ever going to sell one, yeah, because they'd have to make the books look right to sell it. Oh, it's the best industry in the world for tax avoidance, let's say, scrapyard. The best business in the world for tax avoidance, because you just exchange stuff. You sell someone an engine and you ask for the old one. No one's checking engine numbers. So it's like, your transaction didn't happen, did it? Because you've got an exchange unit. You've got the scrap. You can say that's the original one. You say that's the original one, you can account for it, and then you can weigh it in. Scrap it. Anyway, Rochdale politics, stick it up your arse. Reason for video is to talk about, you know, I'm in a fight for my life, me, with the NHS. I'm still smoking. I'm in a fight for my life against the NHS now. Fight for my life. And I know it. And you're like, John, how do you mean you're in a fight for your life? Right, I'll tell you something that happened. You can actually check my old videos. There's old videos of mine where I talked about my stint that I had in hospital and I had heart attacks and the like. You can look out, it's called an NSTEMI, the type of heart attack I've been having. Like a non-cardiac. I'm in no pain. I've got, and they've done an angiogram and I've got no problem with my heart that would give them a clue as to what caused it. And I know what caused it. I told them, but they don't take that into account. So I made them videos before. It's like, I won a victory here against the NHS. It's like, why? It's like, they won't be obsessed with my blood pressure anymore. Why? Because it doesn't matter. It's not the problem. If it mattered, when they did an angiogram, my heart would look like a butcher's shop. It would have been fucked. When I had my angiogram, there was about 10 other doctors in the room watching it, because they were using it as a training exercise, right? Because they expected to find all my arteries blocked, and they found none of them blocked. It's like, you're in good shape. So I've had words with specialists who've said, we don't know why your heart's at 25% function. We don't know why. We couldn't tell you why. We can't find any reason for it with all the tests we've done. And your case is so alarming and rare. Your your case is being discussed by Cross. What's it like? They have their own. They're all broken down into different disciplines, and they have a multiple disciplinary approach to medicine. Well, doctors from every department were following my case. Every department. They all want to know. They all wanted to know something. So, I've spoken to a specialist who's basically said to me, we don't know what's wrong with you. We can't find any reason why. It's like, we've got to investigate further. I'm like, stop investigating. I'm like, stop investigating. Leave it. I'm like, well, we can't. It's like, well, if the blood pressure were a problem, it would have killed me. You'd have found inside me what you expected to find. Clogged arteries, and you found none. And I know this because I was watching the bloody monitors while you were doing it. I was watching this. I was looking at the same bank of computer screens as the doctor who was doing the operation. I was there watching it while it was being done. And I'm like, bloody hell, the inside of my arteries don't look anything like those fucked up ones you see on TV in adverts. There's no horrible cloggy fat clogging up my arteries. They look clean as a whistle. So they've got this result on me that was like, we don't believe this, but you're going to be all right. We don't believe it, but looks like you're going to be all right. And then I've been told all this, and then about a month later, I get called into the heart failure clinic at Rochdale Infirmary, and I tell them what the specialist told me, and the heart nurse called me a liar who's making things up, and she didn't understand why I was telling lies like that. And then she flexed on me and said, I've been in this job for 20 years and what you're saying is nonsense. And then she changed my medication, and 24 hours later I suffered a heart attack and was re-hospitalised due to a side effect to having my medication changed, right? And everything that the specialist had told me apparently didn't happen, and I made it all up, right? And then, on Tuesday this week, the paperwork from my specialist finally caught up, and everything I'd said was true. I got the piece of paper. I've actually not got the piece of paper here. I haven't got anything to scan with, and I haven't got anywhere really like light enough to photograph things. So I sent it up to my sister for her to use basically better gear. She's geared up for photographing things and scanning. So I sent it up there, but I've got a digital copy of it. And it confirms everything that I was told. So I wasn't telling lies, was I? And basically that heart nurse has, because the paperwork's so far behind. I'm not saying that she's fucked up. Well, she has, but it's not her fault. Why is when something is, I was seen as in danger, right? I'm a dangerous person, not a dangerous person, someone who's, I could die anytime. I'm in danger. I'm on 9 kinds of medication to control my blood pressure. And they're saying this could strike again at any time. You're in danger. You need to rest. You need to stay warm. You need to try not to work your heart so much. And then in a month or 2, you can maybe start building it up again. So I'm limited to stretching. And although I've been to see an osteopath for the last 4 weeks, and I've been restored to 100% mobility. All my old injuries fixed. Neck injury fixed, back injury fixed, hip injury that I'd forgotten about. It happened 25 years ago. It seems that my hip was slightly misaligned. Basically, my leg had been pulled from its socket and not reseated itself properly. It's a weird one, that, when your hip, because you wouldn't notice it. It's very hard to notice it, but osteopath got hold of me and it's, oh shit, you found that old injury. Fixed it, put it back. So I've had my nerves untrapped, and I've had loads of manipulation done to stop me from basically walking on eggshells around my back. So and my back's been fixed. It cost 200 quid to get it done, to get my back fixed. I was under the impression, based on what the doctors told me, that it'd be £40,000, and probably private and need to travel abroad for it. An osteopath fixed it he basically fixed the actual problem that was causing the spasm in about 2 minutes. Untrapped the nerve. So that's a bonus, that's a win. I've had a win, but that paperwork being 6 weeks behind, that'd be so important, because that would have told the nurse not to fuck about with anything, not to put me on drugs to slow my heart rate down, like they give people with diabetes. Drugs to slow my heart rate down they gave me, and they gave me a heart attack. I was rushed away in an ambulance, woo, 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 on oxygen. If it hadn't been a Saturday afternoon, and if my mother wasn't due to drop me, because I can't go out shopping anymore, really, to drop me some bread off and a bottle of milk, if she hadn't come round, I'd have probably died of the 4th heart attack, because I was too far away from my phone. You can't move. Too far away from my phone. You've got to, and I'll give you this one, you must hold this in your mind, right? I'm going to tell you something now, and you must hold it, because it's the best way I can describe what's going on with the NHS, just one of its problems, right? When I was having my 3rd heart attack, right, I called an ambulance, and I could barely speak. It was a choice between breathing to staying alive, to try to stay alive, or talk. Talk in just syllables, just right? I was, right, in cardiac arrest, in serious trouble, and being asked by the woman on the phone, what are your gender pronouns? Seriously. Ambulance not been sent, she needs to fill in the form on the screen in order to decide whether it's important enough to send an ambulance, right? And she asked me, what are your gender pronouns? So what did I say? He, him. So I've signed up, haven't I? I've sold my soul. Because I know that childish computer system, that Fujitsu thing they've got running, it wouldn't let you continue until you'd filled in the gender pronouns. It would be stuck on the screen until you tick the box and hit yes. Like, you're dying and they're saying, what ethnicity are you? You're dying, right? It's an emergency. You're calling an ambulance, right? And they're asking you what your gender pronouns are. That's what the NHS is. You're dying and they're wasting time. It's like, you're alright when paramedics turn up. They are used to dealing with it. They're the right people to turn up. They get it. It's most of what they do is that if you're having a heart attack, the best people to be around are certainly paramedics. They get it. It's most of what they do, or a large feature of what they do, is resuscitation. So it's like, I'm not saying that the heart nurse is just useless and nearly killed me. That's not fair. She only had the information that she'd been given, and the paperwork's 6 weeks behind. Right, 6 weeks behind might be all right if I had a broken fucking leg, right? But when you've been diagnosed with stage 4 hypertension and chronic heart failure, right? And it's like, oh right, so right, the prognosis for someone like that, the way they're looking at it, you've got about a year to live. You've got about a year to live, worst case scenario. Take them 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks for the paperwork to catch up. And then today, letter. You get letters every day, and things get duplicated and triplicated dealing with NHS. And it's like doctor surgery are ringing me up to now talk to me about that letter that the specialist sent. Because when I told them what the specialist told me, they didn't believe me either. GP said I was a liar too. So, new letter. My actual specialist has sprung to life. And this is how it works. It's like my next consultation with my specialist, 2nd of April. This is when I next get to see an actual doctor. 2nd of April. And there was a request in that I have an MRI scan. It's been requested for me, but no one knows about it. They told me that I was going to be called back in for an MRI scan, right? So I tell the nurse and the GP, they want me back in for an MRI scan. They haven't got a fucking clue what's wrong with me. Oh, well, it says here this, it says here this, she says here this, she says here this. But the most important piece of information, the actual final verdict from the specialist, they hadn't had it. But they decided they knew anyway and moved forward accordingly. So that heart nurse is actually treating a 2001 diagnosis as opposed to a 2024. See, the NHS will fucking kill you and be sorry when they do it and apologise to your family, probably even get sued, and there'll be compensation go to my family when they kill me. And they'll be sorry, but how good's dead? How good's sorry when you're dead? When I was re-hospitalised, I was having a crack with them, and I was being a bit of a dick about it and all. I'm like, you guys keep telling me I'm lucky. You keep telling me you've survived 3 massive heart attacks. And they keep calling me lucky. And I'm like, when's my luck going to run out? And what will that make me? Dead? I had a heart attack once every 2 weeks for 4 weeks. And then I had another heart attack that you induced with your medication change. Magic medicine in the dark, right? I'm like, by my reckoning, I'm going to have another heart attack in 2 weeks, aren't I? Because it was like 2 weeks and 6 days later, and I was in hospital for 6 days. So I take the hospital stay out, and 2 weeks later, heart attack caused by a change of medication. Just like, they nearly killed me. It's like my heart, right, can't survive too many more end-stemmy heart attacks. Every time it happens, it gets weaker. And it's like, well, they caused the last one through negligence and being exceptionally poor at the jobs. They caused the last one. So it's like, this moment in time, right, I am fighting for my life against the NHS. I feel better. I am about this far away from throwing all the meds in the bin and never going back. But this far. If when I go and see them on Thursday, I see the heart nurse again. If she's not yet if she won't have read, they don't read things. They don't read. They just assume. If she hasn't read that letter, if she's read that letter from the specialist, she owes me an apology for giving me a heart attack and nearly killing me. She owes me an apology, but I can't see me getting an apology. I can see me getting blamed because they do that too. If she attempts to change my medication again, I'm throwing the all that in the bin and I'm quitting. And I'll be fine. You know why? I was at the bottom of the problem to start with before I even called them. I knew what was going on. I spent weeks trying to find a doctor, right, who would treat my water in the lungs issue, as they call it, pulmonary edema. I needed water tablets, right? If I'd have been half as smart as I like to think I am, what I'd have done is I'd have just given my mum a ring and said, "Mum, have you got any water tablets?" Or my dad, he's on medication for heart and stuff. Asked for some of his. I could have taken water tablets for a fortnight and cured it myself. And I knew what I needed. I knew what meds I needed. I actually knew what I needed. I'd sort of worked it out for myself. I knew what was wrong and I knew what had caused it. And now it's gone. So if you notice, right, from the previous, channel, right, myself, coughing, wheezing, dry cough, struggling. Do you hear me struggling and coughing now? At all? It's because they invert. In the course of treatment in the course of things, for them just putting me on medication to clean up what they call it. They call it heart failure, but it's like it's not. It's not congestive heart failure. But that's what I'm diagnosed with. I'm diagnosed with chronic heart failure because of the 25% functionality in my heart and the hypertension, high blood pressure. It's like, that ain't shit. But they inadvertently, sort of accidentally, got rid of the water. It's just a matter of course. Well, they're like, that water in the lungs must come from congestive heart failure. It has to. It's the only way. And I'm like, no, it's this fucking place I live in. 80% humidity for years, and have built up a resistance to living in damp and harsh environments. Appears that my O negative constitution is exceptionally hardy and reacts. So it's like I become adjusted to it. I became accustomed to living in a like almost a tropical environment. And it'd be a matter of, right, the water on the lungs didn't come from inside me, it came from outside. But they're like, but that's not good for us. We can't work with that. It has to be something different. We can't take that into account. And this is doctors. We can't take that into account because it's something that we can't control. We don't know about that. That's not our thing, so it has to be something else. It's like, might seem like the wrong thing to say, but I'm ill with them. They just guesswork. They're like witches, psychics. It's just guesswork. They look at the bloods, go back to that, where they know quite a lot about you from your blood. All they do now is blood test. And the NHS's ability to do a blood test is that they've got so many people working on it that they can turn around a blood test in less than 2 hours. If they need it rushing through, they can do it even quicker. To make it a priority that goes to the top of the list, the labs can have your blood test back, right? Half an hour. And then blood tests can tell them, they tell them the composition of your blood. They understand blood quite well. They don't understand my blood at all, but they understand blood quite well. They can count enzymes. They can measure exactly what its constitution is, exactly what it's made of, exactly how much of everything in there they can discern. That's the technology. That's what it all is now. It's all looking at blood tests. So they look at my bloods and say, oh my God, he's had a massive heart attack. He's had a few massive heart attacks. And you're like, okay, you know that, but that's the only thing they know. So from there, they make an assumption of congestive heart failure, but there isn't any. And they ignore that fact and proceed as if there is. Unfucking believable that it take them 6 weeks to catch up, to talk to each other. 6 weeks to catch up. And my situation with them, I'm not so down on it, but the way the doctors talk to me is my situation is grave. I am terminally ill. That's the way they talk. They talk like I'm like on death's door. And it'd be, if I'm on death's door, you put me there. Because from day one I've dealt with them, because I don't deal with them normally because I know about this. I know about this bullshit. I know what they like. I've dealt with them before. It's like people will wonder why, right? I'm a smart guy who hasn't got a penny. And really I haven't had a proper job since 2009 when, you know, the big recession destroyed the company I work for, when the bank called in all their loans. Destroyed the best job I had, right? Best job I'd ever had, one I enjoyed the most. Gone. Right, since then I've struggled. Do you think that part of my sort of struggle is this old diagnosis of stage 4 hypertension that I got when I was 25, where the doctors told me that I wasn't going to live till I was 35? You think that might have been heavy on the minds of employers when you have to sign something on the application form, or else when you go and see them, they'll have you sign something away to give them access to your medical records, and if you refuse to do it, they just won't hire you. What are you hiding? So I don't hide. I just say, no, there's nothing wrong with me, but this is the name of my GP. And just hope that they don't check it. If they do check it, it's like, this guy's off his meds, he should be dead. How's he still alive? We give him a maximum of 10 years to live in 2001. It's like, I'm now so sick of them because they don't listen and they just know. They don't read what other people say. They will make assumptions and write the assumption down and repeat the assumption for everyone else. I've had it where, you know, the doctors and nurses where they do handover reports between shifts. Handover reports. Where the doctors on duty and the nurses on duty go around every patient with the next shift coming in and say, this is this person, this is what's happening to him, this is what's going on with him. Every single one of them on the handover says, brought in complaining of chest pain. And I'm like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't report any pain at all. None. That's part of the anomaly. That's why there's nothing wrong with my heart. There's no angina pain, none. No pain from my heart, no pain in my arms, no pain in my legs, no swollen up ankles, none of it. None of it. And they were reporting to each other at the end of my bed to say, brought in with severe chest pain. And I'm like, every time said, no, I wasn't. I'm saying, can you change that on that report? Can you please change that? Because it's misleading, because it's the difference between me not dying and dying. If I'd have had chest pains as well as a heart attack, I'd have been dead. I would not have made it. Size and magnitude of the heart attacks I'd have just been dead. But it's like all week, every doctor saying to the next, admitted with chest pains and difficulty breathing. Like, stop fucking lying. Who told you this? Weren't me. And they'll be like, all the time, are you sure you're not in pain? Are you sure you're not in agony and just being brave? Are you trying to fuck with us by telling us that you're not in excruciating pain? Because there's something wrong, you should be in agony. What's wrong with you? Like, I'm just not in any pain at all. None. I've had no pain at all to do with any of this. And they're like, you must have had. And you're like, will you fucking listen? Because they don't talk to each other. They write notes on laptops and no one fucking reads them. Or if they do, they're so badly written that it doesn't mean anything. That letter I got from the specialist is in broken English at best. I mean, like, the guy's obviously a fucking surgeon, but English is not his first language and he really struggles with it. So there's no grammar. It's like a letter from Joe Maplin. So it's like, I'd get like 100, if I was fit, I'd be out going to these hustings and stuff. I'd be following this election real close, right? Because it's my turf. And I know what's going to happen. And I predicted it. If you can go away and watch that video I made where I was on BBC News 24 and they said to me, what would you like to see happen in 5 years' time? And it was 2019 and I'm saying, I'd like to see the complete destruction of the local Labour Party. I'd like to see it tear itself apart. Look what's happening now. It's like everything I fucking wanted, everything I asked for is coming here. Right? It's happening. Everything I've ever fucking wanted for this town is happening. Because now you can't hide. They can't hide anymore from who runs the place, who's got all the power, who's got all the influence, how the two-tier justice system works here. It's all now laid completely bare, and anyone who wants to find out can find out that this place is like a sort of Islamo-fascist one-party dictatorship. Everyone gets it now. And then it's like, you're better off knowing. I'm telling you, you're better off knowing than pretending that this is a Labour Party. Like, they crack on like they're old Labour. They talk like they're old Labour, but they are puppets. They are woke puppets controlled by the local Islamic gangsters. That's who they are. And I know it. And people around here know it. And now everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. So it's like, yeah, the things I wanted to see where they asked me, in 5 years' time, what do you hope, what would you like to see? And I say, I'd like to see the complete destruction of the local Labour Party. I'd like to see its internal divisions tear it apart. Just when I 5 years, 2024, fucking happened, didn't it? And what's more, Rochdale's brand of politics has become Keir Starmer's brand of politics. It's become national politics, as to where Rochdale has sucked in the whole fucking system with its corruption, with its evil, and with its ability to endlessly lie and pivot about its true motivations. We now know who runs this town. And no one can say, John, you're only saying that because you're a racist. You're only saying that because you're an Islamophobe. I'm like, you really think these fucking corrupt twats are actually Muslims? It's like, there's cunts of all colour in the world. You think that these bad guys are Muslims? No, they're not. They're just scum, just criminals. You can be a criminal of any religion, any colour. They're criminals. They lying sacks of shit. Back scratching, doing favours. They've got a power sharing agreement with the Labour Party, which means if they vote for them, they get favours done. If they help with the harvesting, if they collect a load of votes, if they vote on behalf of the whole family, turn up with 20 postal votes. So like that might get you to the top of the housing list or something. That might get you, like with them pervs, might get a councillor to write a letter of recommendation for you so you can get a job. All you have to do is cooperate with the Labour Party during the election cycle and they'll do you favours, and it's a deal with the devil, and everybody fucking knows it here. And those who don't benefit from it, they've had enough. But then there's a thing with the Rochdale by-election as to don't rule out Labour winning it. Because if the fix is in, the fix is in. If the fix is in, Labour are going to win. Labour will beat George Galloway without even campaigning. Because they win anyway. Why? Well, the postal vote, when it turns up, always lands in their favour. 100% in their favour. So, you would need a massive landslide, over 24,000 votes for Galloway to get in. He needs about 30,000 votes to be elected. Why? Because if the fix is in, as it usually is, the Labour candidate's already got 24,000 votes. You think they're going to break that up? Council is still in power. They're hiding. No one's seen anything of any of them. But they hide from the public anyway. They don't listen to us. They tell us what to do. We don't get a chance to talk back against the council. Ever. They don't. It's as if they think they don't need us. Well, they don't need us. They just need that bloc Islamic vote. That's all they need. So in a town like Rochdale, the only thing that ever gets campaigned on by the Labour Party, because run against them for the council or for MP, in normal circumstances, you would face a character assassination. They'd be trying to get you in trouble. They'd be trying to disgrace you publicly. They'd tell lies about you. And these days, they'd be doing the bit to get you in trouble for some kind of hate crime, to get you off the ballot. That's what they do. You get character assassinated. That's why I'm not in politics. I don't need people telling lies about me. They could find out like truths about me that might make me look a bit of a dick. I'd rather that than them lie. But they'd lie. They'd say I was a Jew. Although I've joked in the past about being a trans Jew, as to where I would, that was a laugh, wasn't it? About it was a riff on that trans black. But they'd find that, oh, he's a Jew. He's a convert to Judaism. And they'd also put about that because I wasn't married, I was gay. That's what the Labour Party would do. Labour Party would tell the locals, if I was to run in Failinge for the council, my own poorest ward in the country, where I live, Failinge ward, if I was to run in Failinge ward, they would tell all of the Asians around here that I'm gay and a Jew. Why do I know this? Because my next door neighbour was a Rochdale councillor, and that's what they did to him when he ran. Told everyone he was a Jew. Told all the local Pakistanis he was a Jew and a homosexual. That's the Labour Party. That's the way that they operate in Rochdale. So you wait to see what happens. That Simon Dankzuk said yesterday that it's just a contest between him and George Galloway, and he's running for reform. And Simon Dankzuk is one of the biggest fucking liars and blowhards that this town's ever had. And he's not from here, he's from fucking Huddersfield. Became all about Rochdale when the Labour Party selected him for the seat. He's a career politician, he's been in it from the start, but also a fucking massive alcoholic and fucking wreckhead. And an exceptionally promiscuous person who got famous, right, by exposing to the world what was common knowledge in this town that everybody knew, and then tried to parlay it into celebrity. His wife got herself an agent, and attempted to get herself on Strictly Come Dancing. How would that sound when the BBC announcer says, wife of Rochdale Labour MP who exposed paedophilia, Karen Dangshook, dancing away. She wanted to be on Strictly Come Dancing. She thought she'd become a celebrity because her husband had become mildly famous by accumulating all the some local common knowledge, by telling the world what I could tell you, what everyone could tell you. But he didn't go far enough. He didn't hang out anyone who was to do with the Labour Party. No one. He went after Lib Dems and Tories and no Labour. So he's known in this town as being a liar and a scumbag. And it's a funny old thing, where if you rely on the Islamic vote to get into power, they don't see themselves in Simon Dangshook. They do see themselves in George Galloway. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, has lots of kids. They see themselves in him. So he can lead them. Saying that, if he hasn't got the fix on his side, he can't win either, because he needs 30,000 votes. He might be able to get 30,000, but I'm thinking now more towards that the Labour Party is still going to win regardless, and they're going to say, we're so loved that we won in a town where we didn't even support a candidate, and we've returned an MP. 24,000 postal votes. That's what you're fighting for. You have to beat that. If you're going to win a by-election in Rochdale, you have to beat the fix. If you can't beat the fix, you can't win. I was talking about the National Health Service and how their inability to do fucking paperwork promptly, and their what appears to be antiquated IT systems. Antiquated. Like, what the fuck? You've got it where you've got 2 weeks. You've got 2 weeks of admin backlog. The doctor, the specialist, it took him a fortnight. A fortnight to fill in his part of it. And then it takes him another month to type up his notes or to send out the letter. How is that even possible with a modern system, with a modern IT system? Go away, talk to Fujitsu. I mean, fuck, I know so many people who work for Fujitsu or who've worked for Fujitsu. I could just give one of them a call and ask them. Like this thing with post office, what do you know about it? And they'd be like, oh, well, you see. This thing with NHS system being like amazingly slow and be almost something that gets in the way of proper care. You need to give one of them a ring and talk to people I know at Fujitsu and say, what's the score with this? But it's, to my mind, impossible to explain. How?